And first at 4, destruction, death, and devastation. Communities left picking up the pieces after tornadoes ripped through parts of the state over the weekend. The damage and the recovery efforts now underway. ABC 3340 has continuing team coverage this afternoon. We have crews talking with residents and local officials about the tornado outbreak.
Mary Barron, Megan Scarano, and Austin Pratt are all working for you in Tuscaloosa, Talladega, and Shelby counties to bring us the very latest updates on the cleanup. But first, we want to hear from meteorologist Riley Blackwell.
Now, Riley, at last check, we know there were at least 7 confirmed tornadoes over the weekend. Has that number changed?
Not yet, but we are still having the National Weather Service of Birmingham are actively surveying. We have surveys scheduled for tomorrow, likely into Wednesday, but 7 so far, with the most devastating, unfortunately, being that one in Plantersville, which was an EF3. The wind ratings will come out on that. But at least for today, we can be very blessed that we saw abundant sunshine. High pressure is down to our south, hardly a cloud in the sky, but one thing, it has been quite breezy, and temperatures have been struggling a little bit, especially earlier this morning. We have 63 Birmingham, 64 Pell City, 63 as well down in Clanton. Cooler off to the north, we have 57 Coleman, 61 Gaston, 62 in Anniston. But it's been quite breezy. 10 miles per hour currently up in Gaston, 15 in Anniston, 11 miles per hour in Alexander City. Gusts earlier were as high as 25 miles per hour. But fortunately, over the next several hours, both actual wind speeds, wind gusts will start to die down before we have another chilly night in store for us tonight. When can we expect a warm up, and will that warm up be ruined by another cold front? That in the full 7-day, all coming up.
I saw the trees coming down in their bathroom. I watched one tree and I just pushed him into the room and I said, we got to go.
A family in north Tuscaloosa had to think fast when this weekend's powerful storms tore through their neighborhood. They're left picking up the pieces today. Their home now scattered with fallen trees and debris. ABC 3340's Mary Barron joins us live from one of the hardest hit areas in Tuscaloosa County off Hilltop Loop. And Mary, what does the damage look like out there?
Muriel, there are lots of trees and power lines down here in this area. I'm actually going to take a step out of the shot just so you can see this massive tree that's down right here behind me. Now, one home in this area is missing part of its roof and a good bit of damage to the storage unit. The damage is devastating, but we are still working and waiting on the National Weather Service to confirm just how severe the storms were here.
We were in the bathroom, the power had gone out, and we had James Spann up on our phone, and he called out Beacon Point and started calling out some of the roads near my parents' house, and I just pushed my dad in the room. I saw trees flying. It was pretty scary.
6 adults, 2 kids, and 4 dogs, all inside a small room to brave the storm. Nathan Roberto is in town visiting his parents and had no clue the storms were rolling in. He tells me it was the scariest 30 seconds of his life.
Lord protect us, keep us safe. About 30 seconds, it was all over, and I'm on the door, and I expect to open the door to just nothing, and just thankfully, the house was still here, and there was.
Days later, neighbors are rallying together to help this family and the community put their lives back together.
And it destroyed a bunch of trees. We had a couple of trees on some houses, and a shop that's destroyed by a big pine tree that fell on it.
Joe Pearson tells me his family was without power for only 12 hours with minimal damage to his home. He says this storm reminded him of his time as a police officer during the destructive April 2011 tornado.
Brought back a lot of bad memories, and I was very apprehensive and concerned, and but we made it through fine. God blessed us.
Now, Tuscaloosa County EMA Director Nick Lally tells me at this time crews are still out trying to assess how much damage there is. He tells me there have been no injuries or fatalities to report right now. Live in Tuscaloosa County, Mary Barron, ABC 3340 News.
Cleanup is underway across the state after Saturday's deadly tornado outbreak in Talladega County, the Winterboro community devastated by a tornado with winds of at least 111 miles per hour. ABC 3340's Megan Scarano reports on recovery efforts.
This is debris from old Winterboro High School here in Talladega County. You can see the gym behind me with its ceiling completely ripped off. The National Weather Service says the winds reached up to 120 miles per hour.
We had probably 20 seconds to get in our storm shelter. People say it sounds like a freight train. Sounded to me like a freight train with a pulse.
Joey Peters, like others in Winterboro, now cleaning up after the twister ripped through the community.
Our house shook. I really was afraid of what I was going to find.
The tornado would claim the life of 83-year-old Harry Leon Fain. Peters was his neighbor.
Decided we better come out and check on our neighbor that lives in a mobile home here. And the mobile home, as you can see, is destroyed. It's gone.
The National Weather Service survey shows the tornado was down for more than 3 miles, 5 football fields wide. Not far from Peters, the old Winterboro High School, the gym left in pieces. Across the street at the church, tombstones are knocked over, but the building was spared.
We had windows knocked out on the west side of the church, but it was just the storm windows. If it had been 1 more inch, it would have knocked out the stained glass windows in the sanctuary, but it didn't. And just only God could have had that kind of protection over us.
Kelly says the church already serves closely with Winterboro High School, and the storm is another opportunity to lend a helping hand.
I'm so proud of all these kids. We just know they've got a bright future, and we don't want anything to distract them from what they've got.
In Winterboro, Megan Scarano, ABC 3340 News.
And by the way, the old Winterboro High School housed the alternative school. Talladega County School Superintendent Dr. Suzanne Lacey says it has been relocated to Childersburg. She says that the recently built Winterboro High School only had a few shingles and trim off of the building after the storm.
In Shelby County, the city of Calera also dealing with the damage from this weekend's storms. ABC 3340's Austin Pratt joins us from Burton's Campers, where many campers were destroyed there. Austin, what's happening there today?
Muriel, there's a handful of employees out here now trying to find out the extent of the damage. Now, the property is quite large. It's hard to see how many campers were affected, but from where I'm standing right here, I can see several overturned and damaged campers and structures. After the storm caused widespread damage, one of the worst hit areas in Calera was Burton Campers, located just off I-65. You can see the damage. Several campers flipped over with mangled metal scattered across the property. Many of the camper owners saying their vehicles were there for repairs. I didn't see any damage to the new campers in the front of the business. The storm also caused many downed power lines across Calera, like the one behind me right here. Alabama Power is now reporting less than 5 customers affected. In Calera, Austin Pratt, ABC 3340 News.
In Pickens County, this footage of what was an EF2 tornado after it crossed Highway 159. A chicken farm is seen being blown away as the storm passes about 100 yards away.
We had a lot of trees down, a lot of tree damage and road blockage. There were several homes that destroyed.
Several homes and farms were also damaged in Gordo, but as soon as the storm cleared, people began to help. Gordo Mayor Craig Patterson says there were places that were open within an hour. The Red Cross was also called in to help. The town of Gordo is accepting donations at Gordo City Hall. Drop-off times are 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. daily.
It was the most scariest sound I have ever heard. And I started praying to God to save all of us. I thought we were all goners.
Terrifying moments for a family in Chilton County. This home off of County Road 15 in Maplesville was moved off its foundation and turned upside down. When the storm hit, about a dozen or so family members rushed to this storm shelter. Those in the shelter say it took 3 men to hold the door closed during the storm. The storm shelter was made out of the back of a milk truck.
The tornado picked the trailer up and flipped it through the tree upside down. So the bottom is on the top and the ceiling's on the ground.
We're the lucky ones. Nobody was hurt. We can figure this out.
Now, as these families begin the cleanup, they say none of it matters as much as each other.